Too many Americans have lost their jobs or their businesses. Too many Americans and students had their education interrupted. But because of people all across the country, like the witnesses that we have today, the virus has met its match. It will be defeated. Americans do not hide from a fight, Mr. Chairman. We don't back down. We will confront this challenge like we've confronted so many others in our nation's history. The Select Subcommittee must honor those heroes by focusing on helping families get back on their feet, by helping businesses safely reopen, and by holding China and the World Health Organization accountable.
We can't trust China. A recent report from the Department of Homeland Security concluded that China intentionally concealed the severity of this virus so it could hoard PPE by blocking exports and by buying it up through its state-owned enterprises.
If China shared the virus sequence earlier, would fewer Americans have died?
Yes, we would have advanced faster.
If China didn't lie about human transmission, would fewer Americans have died?
That's correct.
If China didn't hoard PPE, would fewer Americans have died?
Absolutely.
If China didn't corrupt the World Health Organization, would fewer Americans have died?
Yes.
If China had not let American scientists into the country, would fewer Americans have died?
That's correct.
If China hadn't put export controls on PPE, would fewer Americans have died?
Correct.
Thank you. I yield back.
Federal government's response led even Governor Cuomo to say in an interview that President Trump, quote, has delivered for New York, he has, end quote.
But we've received what we need every step of the way from the Trump administration, from you guys, the United States Congress, and we've been able to act accordingly with testing, protecting people, and protecting their rights.
Not a single American has died because we didn't have a ventilator or because we didn't have an ICU bed.
For instance, the SBA got more money out the door in 14 days than they normally do in 14 years. I mean, that's pretty significant that they were able to do that.
When you look at the 15 days to slow the spread, initially it started at 15. Were you part of the decision to implement that decision?
I was very much involved in that.
Did that decision save lives, Dr.
I
Fauci?
believe it did.
Then when President Trump met with you and Dr. Birx to extend that another 30 days, do you agree with that decision that President Trump made to extend that?
Yes, I was very much involved and I agree with it.
Did that decision save lives, Dr. Fauci?
I believe it did.
So I know we've heard a lot about disagreements. Clearly there are many decisions made. In fact, there are many very internationally respected doctors that are involved in each of those decisions. Is that correct?
Yes.
By and large, would you say that you and President Trump have been in agreement on most of those decisions?
We were in agreement on virtually all of those.
The congressional Democrats were focused on their impeachment sham. The president was starting a task force to combat the virus. When the speaker said San Francisco is fine, the president was blocking travel from China. When Mayor de Blasio and New Yorkers said, quote, go about your lives, the president was starting research on a vaccine. And while Vice President Biden has been locked in his basement, the president built the world's leading testing system from scratch.
I think the American public should be assured that in the process of determining the safety and efficacy, the proper steps have been taken to determine that. And when a vaccine becomes available, it's important for their own health and for the health of the country to take that vaccine.
Our job is to protect those most vulnerable. Nursing home residents make up only 0.6% of the American population, yet they have accounted for over 40% of the national COVID-19 deaths. This is unacceptable, Mr. Chairman, and more sadly, this was largely avoidable.
The media was quick to condemn Florida for opening its beaches. They condemned Georgia and branded it as an experiment in human sacrifice. Yet after sending coronavirus patients into nursing homes full of vulnerable residents, Governor Cuomo was laughing it up with his brother in a softball interview on CNN.
They put older Americans infected with COVID-19 back in nursing homes, back with the most vulnerable and at-risk population on our planet. Is that right?
That's right.
And they didn't just, in the case of Governor Cuomo, they didn't do it for 1 day, 2 days,
3 days. Governor Cuomo had this policy in place for 46 days. Is that right?
That is right.